Hey guys, once again, welcome back to the Watch Gauge YouTube channel. I am here with one of my best buds in the industry and one of my best buds entirely, Christopher Doc Vail from NTH. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, my friend?
Living the dream. How you doing?
Hunkered down in the Dogville Industries, secret underground product lab and office bunker.
Right on. So just to clarify, when I say living the dream, I'm chasing the dream.
Yeah.
I think we're all in this crazy boat together right now, not only in the watch industry, not locally, but globally. We're in some weird times, man.
We really are.
So, guys, just for a little bit of clarification, Chris and I were talking last week. We did have a new version or a couple new versions of the NTH subs that were released over the past week. But during these conversations, we were talking about, Chris and I were talking about over the phone, how grateful we are to a lot of the brand's fans, a lot of Watch Gauge fans, a lot of you guys out there who are purchasing watches. And what Chris and I really were talking to each other about were how grateful we are that as small businesses, you know, those of you who are not affected by this as bad financially are supporting guys like Watch Gauge and guys like Chris and other retailers and other micro brands. And so that was kind of the inspiration for us getting on and having this call, right, bud?
Yeah, I mean, we, like you said, these are strange times, and we're very aware. You know, we go on social media every day. We watch the news every day. We know, and we're very aware that many people are out of work, or, you know, they've seen their hours cut and things are hard. Not just, you know, even if you're working from home and you're still getting a paycheck, you know, maybe your spouse or significant other has been, you know, furloughed or laid off. Mine was, my wife, you know, was furloughed last week. You know, she was making almost as much money as I was, and we got all of our benefits through her. So, you know, we're all feeling the same sort of stress. We got the kids in the house now. We had, you know, a trip that got canceled. And, you know, we didn't cancel it. It was canceled on us.
Right.
So, you know, going into this last release that we brought out this month, first off, let's back up. My plan wasn't to bring these watches out in March. My plan was to bring them out in April or May. But when our vendors got back from Chinese New Year, and coronavirus was just kind of going crazy over in China and Hong Kong, I got very concerned that if we waited any more, all these parts were made last year, but if we waited any longer, if we waited another month even, we might not be able to get them at all. We might be sold out of everything else and have no inventory to sell if all of a sudden there was a worldwide stoppage of like cargo flights. They'd already shut down passenger flights. So, you know, we're actually at least a month, if not two, ahead of when we plan to bring these watches out. So, but, you know, we really didn't talk about this in public. Leading into this release, you know, like every release, we're hoping for the best, but this one in particular, I think we were kind of preparing for the worst. So, you know, with fingers crossed, we started sales, I guess, what was it, last week, the week before. But like you said, I mean, I think knowing how many people are going through difficult times, I, for one, have been pleasantly surprised at how many people have stepped up to buy a watch. And, you know, especially that they're buying from us, you know, my brand, from your store, or one of our other retailers. It really means a lot now more than ever. I mean, every sale for a small brand and a small retailer really is precious, but it's more precious now than ever. I mean, you know, we're all going through hard times, and, you know, it means a lot, especially to a small business owner, to get that support from the customers when we know so many of our customers are struggling on their own. So we just wanted to say thank you to everybody for who's always supported our businesses, you know, my brand, your store, but especially now, you know, everybody who stepped up and said, yeah, you know, I'm going to buy something. You're helping keeping the economy alive for a lot of us, myself included. And, you know, one of the sort of unfortunate realities of the situation, which I guess we have to address, is the elephant in the room, is that, you know, if you go on Facebook or Instagram and you're just, you know, John or Chris flogging the watch, you know, even, you know, it's like, hey, we're having a coronavirus sale. That's not going to play well with people who are truly going through tough times. And I've seen people online making these comments. So, when we started sales on this release, I was really scared. Like, I hope this doesn't become something that creates like a backlash. I hope people are able to realize that, even though it looks like we're just carrying on business as usual, we're not. Like, and to a certain extent, we still have to try to make sales happen. I mean, now, especially for, like my family, like I said, my wife was let go from her job. I need the money to like pay bills. And, like I've got vendors to pay. I've got, employees.
Right.
It's still a necessity of life that I have to run the business. And that means I have to go online and talk about the new release and be out there doing my job as the salesperson for the brand. I really hope people realize, like, I'm not just being callous. I'm not completely, cynical or, ignoring the reality out there, which is, like I said, a lot of people are really having tough times. So I wanted to make sure that people understood we're not unaware. We're not ignoring it. We're very aware, and we really appreciate so much the support that we've gotten from our customers.
1,000,000%, and I do want to touch on a couple things that you just spoke about. And, first and foremost, I think that it's really important, from my standpoint. I look around my community, my neighborhood. There are restaurants that are having a very difficult time. There's a tire store right almost on the other side of this wall that, the guys have been sitting there all day long, virtually empty. And there's a car wash across the street and just all these small businesses. Now, these are guys like you and me. And, going into this,
families.
Yeah. And going into this release, you and I had very in-depth conversations. You and I are extremely open and honest with each other. And quite frankly, I was getting quite nervous because my January was a little slower than last January. February was a lot slower than last February. The beginning of March was like, and I started getting very concerned for the existential existence of WatchGauge, to be honest with you. And I knew I can last a short while, but again, just like you, I'm so unbelievably grateful for all of the guys that have stepped up. Now, to add on to the fact of how do you go ahead and, let me just mute my phone, I apologize, but how do you go ahead and how do you go ahead and promote a release like the NTH without looking like you're just trying to get people's money, or you're just trying, or you're totally ignoring what's going on, or whatever it may be? And it's kind of funny because I had a friend of mine who's got a completely different business than I have. And he was in my office. Actually, he was outside. He doesn't want to come in. I don't want to let people in. So he pulled up front. We were talking outside, 6 feet apart for a little bit. And he said, I'm having a little bit of trouble because I've got this new online course that I want to promote, but I don't want it to seem like, that exactly what like we're talking about. And I said to him, I said, when I released the video last week about the new subs that were coming in and being released, I think I spent a good 2 to 3 minutes in the intro, just saying, look, I know so many of you guys are having a tough time, both financially, both emotionally and stress wise. And, how much we appreciate any business that comes in, but also how, my family and my friends, and we're trying to contribute back to the community as well. Not only to small businesses, but even to our neighbors and things like that. We're trying to do some shopping for them. And, the older, I don't want them going out. I want to, so I'm checking in with them every day, that kind of thing. So the point being is, I think it was important for me when I did my video, and I told this to my friend with his business, stress how grateful we are, stress how humble we are with the fact that we are able to still do what we're doing. And then on the same token, almost kind of make it a little bit of sense of normalcy that we've got these cool watches coming in, that there will be shipping appropriately. What a lot of people don't know is how I ship, right? Like, I always put personal notes in, this, Chris, but I put personal notes in every single package that I send.
I know it because I see guys on Facebook posting about it, and they talk about the watch. They're like, yeah, I got this great personalized note from John. That's one of the things I like about the retailers I work with. A lot of you guys do that.
Yeah. So in this particular case, we did have a handful of sales come in over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 days because of this new release. And I had a stack of them that I had to get out. With each personal note, I took extra time. I spent I spent a vast amount of time making those notes a bit longer and saying, especially during these crazy times, it means so much to my family, and, you know, whatever the note may be, you know, I took extra time to do that. So it's an appreciation level. So I'm glad that you and I have the ability to get on and talk about this, because these are a lot of the things that most watch clients don't really see behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, as you were talking, I was thinking, you know, it's so, besides the fact that there's a health hazard out there, and besides the fact that it's having an impact on the economy, I mean, there's nothing but bad news on the television. There's nothing but arguing on social media.
Yeah.
And what we do, I think we're incredibly fortunate that we have a business where we participate in other people's hobbies. Like, this is their distraction from all of that. So that's what I've been trying to one of the things I've been trying to stay focused on is I, you know, yeah, I don't want to come across as being overly salesy at this time, but for people that are actually buying a watch, I love seeing those guys post their pictures online and talking about how excited they are and how much they love the watch. I feel like, yeah, this is why we're here. Like, my purpose is to bring a little bit of joy into somebody else's life. If I can do that with the watch they bought from me, that's great. That makes me feel good. That's, you know, in many ways more valuable than money. Like, that's, you know, that will propel me through the rest of my day, if not the rest of my week.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I love, that's one of my favorite things about a new release. You know, there's always, every single new release, we always have that sense of anxiety before we start sales. Are things going to be as good as we hope they are? You know, what if they fall flat? What if sales aren't as good? That usually goes away once we start sales and we find out, yeah, things are fine. It's the after effect. Seeing all those customers post their pictures online, we live for that. That's really better. That's good for my mental health. So, you know, I feel like, you know, that's maybe one of the silver linings here is, yeah, again, I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like we want people to go out and buy a watch because that's going to make them feel better. If your situation is not good, odds are a watch is not going to make you feel better. But if you are in a position where you can afford to buy a watch, odds are that watch, the opening experience, especially when they get it from a store like WatchGauge, because of the nice job that you do with the gift wrapping and the handwritten note, and then, you know, for the few days after they're in that honeymoon period, I mean, that's a nice distraction from all the hell that's going on in the world right now.
Totally.
Yeah, and I would say to people out there, look, a watch is a luxury purchase, and we're talking hundreds of dollars. If you haven't got that in your game plan right now, that's fine. No hard feelings.
Right.
Go down the street and order a pizza, or, you know, do whatever. Like, both my sons work at, I'm like 2 blocks from the downtown neighborhood in our little hometown here, and both of my sons are basically laid off from the pizza shop they were working in. So, like, I was driving down, just went to the post office the other day, and I'm looking around this main street in my town, which is like just 2 blocks of wall-to-wall stores and restaurants and bars, is a ghost town in the middle of the day. And I stopped into that little pizza shop where my sons work, and it's like, it literally looked like they were trying to fight off the Apaches. They got all the tables turned over on the side in front of, like, the food cases.
Yeah.
You can't even get to the counter to see what pizza you're looking at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys doing all right? They're like, yeah, if you didn't call in, get out of here. I'm like, all right, I'm out. You know, like, but, you know, that's a family-run business. They've been, you know, there's 2 generations of, you know, immigrants working here, you know, that, you know, legal immigrants, obviously. But, you know, they're putting people in the local community, like my 2 sons, to work. So, yeah, like, I would love to see more people in the community supporting businesses like that. So if you can't buy a watch from John or from me, don't worry about it. You know, go order some pizza or some wings, or support your local business. You know, you need tires for your car. Don't go to Costco or Walmart. Get them from the local tire shop. I guarantee, you know, the extra $50 or $100 you spend this month is going to mean a lot more to the small business owner and their employees than it will to Amazon or Costco or Walmart. And, you know, I shop at those places too. But in a time like this, it's really important to support the local businesses because, you know, let's transition here. I mean, we just got this stimulus package passed. You know, they're going to base it on last year's income when things were better. My wife just lost her job. We're probably not going to get much, if any, of that money. And we need it now more than ever. And I'm sure I'm not just talking about my family. I'm talking about a lot of people's family. a lot of small businesses are self-employed. There's no unemployment insurance for a small business owner. There's no real social safety net. A lot of us are not, we don't have the time and the resources to navigate the SBA loans programs, or we're not going to be able to access these deep pools of capital. A lot of that bailout money, I'm sure is going to end up going to like the airlines and bigger businesses than small, the Main Street businesses like yours or mine. So yeah, I mean, every sale right now, like I said, is more precious than it's ever been, and we really can't be more appreciative of that business right now. So again, if you can buy a watch, great. But if you can't, go out, buy a pizza, order some wings, do something with a local business. Whatever you can do, it's helpful. Yeah.
I mean, it was funny because one of our dear friends, Zak Rocky, just had his Kickstarter launch 2 days ago, which he admits it's a difficult time to launch it, but you and I both, purchased a watch through that Kickstarter.
My wife might be here. My wife might hear this.
Sorry. I meant I purchased a watch through the Kickstarter just to support him. Look, I think I don't want to beat a dead horse too much. I think, but at the end of the day, for those of you watching this, our appreciation is far more, both Chris and mine, is far more than we can express and thank you for. So it's very important to us. And I've spoken to many other micro brand owners, and they're in the same boat. As a matter of fact, RT Custer from Vortic and I are going to be doing a similar type of call-in series where we discuss what's going on in the micro brand world. We're going to do that for the Watch With Us channel. And any micro brand owner, if they've got a new model coming out, or if they've got existing inventory, or if they're running specials or a Kickstarter campaign, we're going to help promote those because, they're in the same boat as us, those brand owners. So if we can help promote their brands, what they have going on, that series will start likely next week on the Watch With Us channel. But hey, I think as awful as this coronavirus situation is, there are some silver linings. I think there are a lot of people who are stepping up to help their neighbors. I'm seeing a lot of families spending time on walks and bike rides as long as they're keeping their distance from other people. I think that's fantastic. So hopefully we can look at the more positive side of this whole mess and move on from there. I mean, let's
hope it's over soon.
Let's hope it's over soon. That's for sure. I'm hoping that it comes and goes.
Let's state the obvious, like, anybody who's fallen ill, or somebody in their family has been affected because they fell ill. I mean, not even just with coronavirus, but like Tom Carey from Minuteman. I was just looking at his posts on Facebook. His wife is in the hospital. I think it was appendicitis or something like that.
Pancreatitis.
Pancreatitis. Okay, so can you imagine just breaking your leg, or you got, kidney failure or something, and you got to go to the hospital right now? What's going on? Like, you could go in with one thing and come out with corona, or
he's
might not get seen.
From what I understand, his wife got taken to the hospital. He's not allowed in to see her. He spoke to her on the cell phone once she was in there, but they took the cell phone away.
No, it's bad. It's not a good time to.
My son stepped on a nail last week, and I had to drive to the, he's riding the trails and jumped and landed on a board, and I went and picked him up, and he's full of blood. The nail went through his foot, as gross as that is. And I'd bring him right to the doctor, to the hospital. No. And I'm like, well,
walk it off. You told him to walk it off, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm like, bite on your keychain, pal, and
I gotta get the poker out of the fire. We're gonna burn that shut.
Yeah, what is this? I cauterize. We're gonna cauterize it with a poker.
Cauterize it. Yeah, bite down on this.
Yeah, but I called his doctor. I called his doctor. I'm like, I told her what happened. I said, look, do I have to go to the hospital? She goes, absolutely not. He had his tetanus. Here's how you treat it and make sure it doesn't get infected. Yeah, now's not a good time. And to your point, a friend of mine from high school, she just lost her mother, who was ill for a while. And they were finally able to get into the hospital and spend like literally her last few hours of life with her as a family. But she was in there alone for days, maybe even a week or two. I forget the details, but I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, my grandfather just passed earlier this month, not from coronavirus, just old age. And
this whole coronavirus thing hadn't started yet. We weren't in isolation and lockdown. I was able to get up to New York to see him, one last time before he passed. I can't imagine how hard it would be, to have my mother, my father, my wife, whoever in the hospital and not be able to go and spend time with them, because of this. So, yeah,
Right.
I mean, again, like I said, we just want to state the obvious that our hearts and prayers and thoughts are with everyone, whether it's coronavirus or something else. If you're sick or injured during this time, or somebody in your family is, our sympathies are with you and yours.
Yeah. And, absolutely. I mean, I'm praying every day. May not be your thing if you're watching this. It's my thing. I do it every day anyway. But my prayer sessions have been a little bit longer before I go to bed, and we're praying for you guys. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're one of the ones that are very, very much less affected. So that's the best I can put it.
Yeah. So you want to talk about some more positive stuff?
Yeah, let's try to get back to our conversations as if this whole thing wasn't going on. You have a lot going on with the brand, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to let you run with it. We've got the 6 and 6. You've got a couple new programs coming out, not models, but programs coming out that will encompass the brand. So why don't you run with it?
Yeah. Well, I want to get to those, but I have to say this first because it'll make more sense when I get to those. So I want to give a big shout out of recognition to my watchmaker, Dan. A lot of guys know, or a lot of people, our customers know, that Dan is the guy that services every NTH that comes back to us. And if it comes back to John at WatchGauge, odds are it'll come back to Dan. And Dan, he's my in-house watchmaker, but he doesn't work for me full time. He actually works in a hospital. He's a phlebotomist. He draws blood. And the hospital he works in, they were understaffed, before this whole coronavirus thing started. So since coronavirus started, they've been getting slammed. He's been working forced overtime, double shifts. He hasn't had a lot of time to dedicate to supporting my business and my customers. So we've had to kind of rearrange things and prioritize. So, anything that comes back to us from a customer, it's a post-sale warranty, repair, whatever, that's obviously a priority. But we just got this new release in. So I had to go through it and say, okay, first, do quality control, because he does this. He does all the quality control. He fixes everything that we find. Any regulation that needs done, he does all of that. So I said, make sure that you do all the pieces we need to get out to our retailers first. And then, we'll worry about getting the rest done later. So we're kind of still in the middle of that. So I've got, a couple customers bought their watches from my store. We haven't shipped them yet because we're behind. So having said that, there are some things that we actually have been planning for a while. I wanted to roll them out before now, and I'm going to talk about them now, but we're still probably a few weeks away from actually making these things go live. But there's a couple things. So we've been working on I had this concept of, wouldn't it be great, because it's so hard to find a store that you can go and visit that sells micro brands. So a lot of customers always say, I wish I could see it in person before I had to spend the money to buy it. Even if I can return it for a refund, it's not the same. So I came up with this program, which I've in my mind been saying, it's try it before you buy it. So I've been kind of building a little stockpile of blogger samples, photography samples, watches from my own collection, watches I've actually bought used on the used market, back from guys that are in, mint condition, really good condition. And I'm going to have a section on the NTH website called the Nearly New section. Think of it like a certified used car. So the way this is going to work is those watches that are reasonably good condition, mint or better, new models that we also maybe have for sale, or some pieces that we don't have for sale anymore. But there's going to be a collection of watches where they're going to be available for sale at a slight discount from full retail, because they have been worn, they're not brand new. And the deal is, if you get one and you want to keep it, great, just keep it. You paid for it, you keep it. If you want to just kind of wear it for a week, see how you like it before you make the larger commitment, you can either keep that watch and we're done, or you can send it back. We're going to do, I think the deal is, I think you and I talked about this. Remember, refresh my memory if I get it wrong. But my plan was, if you just send it back for a refund, we'll give you like a partial refund, like 90%, something like that. But if you send it back and say, no, I'm going to buy that watch or another NTH sub, you know, for example, from your store, from John's store, from your retailer somewhere else, as soon as we get confirmation that you actually bought that, we'll refund 100%. So it's kind of like a lending library that we're going to set up, and we'll try to keep it fresh with new models as they come out, and as you know, as people actually buy and keep the watches. But it gives people an opportunity to check out our watches before they have to make the bigger commitment. So, you know, worst case scenario is you get the watch, you don't like it, you don't want to buy a new one, you send it back. You only paid, you know, a discounted price anyway, and you're going to get back 90% of that.
Right.
So the shipping and 10% or whatever you pay. Not that big a deal, I think, in the greater scheme of things. I'm positive we're going to roll it out for customers here in America. I'm not sure how it's going to work for people overseas. We may not be able to do it for them quite yet. Maybe we'll try to figure something out with our overseas retailers. But, you know, again, for now, if you're in America, it'll definitely be available. I'm not sure yet about the rest of the world. The other thing is,
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I just think, you know, I'm hoping that it shows, one, that we're that confident in what we sell, that people will like it, and you know, you don't have any reason. It's one less reason to question the purchase or say no. And I think it helps get our watches into more people's hands that might otherwise be on the fence. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this program works. If it doesn't work, I'll shut it down and put the watches in my own collection. More watches for me.
Yeah.
So the other thing we're going to do is, you know, one of the big sort of criticisms of independent brands, micro brands like mine is, you know, guys online will say, these guys might not be in business 5 or 10 years from now. What are you going to do if you need parts? You know, like replacement parts. You know, you need a bezel insert is the most obvious one. You know, what do you do? And I've had arguments with guys online, like, I've been in business 7 years. I'm planning on being in business another 7 at least, you know, and God willing, longer than that. We've got replacement parts, you know, like what is it you think is going to happen that you need all these parts? And we have them, but, you know, explain it to me. But it never seems to make it dead. In the meantime, we don't get a lot of requests for, you know, like bezel inserts and things like that, but we do get some. I think some guys are just concerned that we might go out of business and they'll need one and they don't have it, so they want to have a spare, or they get a little ding or a little scratch and, you know, they're not happy with it anymore because it's no longer mint condition and they want to replace it. The thing we've done in the past, because when we order new watches from our vendor, I might order maybe one extra insert for every 50 or 100 watches we're making with that insert. And, you know, we've been kind of sort of like tight-fisted with those parts, because if you buy it just because you might need it someday, and the next guy comes along, he actually needs it. If I already sold it to you, he can't get it. And it's really hard to predict in advance, like, how many parts should we get? Because we can't just make them forever and ever. So what I've done in the past is I've said, look, if you want this part, send me a picture of the damaged part on your watch that you're trying to replace, just so I know you're not just raiding our spare parts bin because you might want one someday. Show me a damaged part, I'll sell you the replacement part. And it's gotten to the point now where I kind of feel like some guys, they're a little bit upset about that. They don't like it to have to take a picture. It's kind of a longer process. It ends up taking more of our time. So in the very near future, we're going to add bezel inserts to our store so that anybody that wants one can just go in and buy them. And we're just going to keep stocking up. I made a deal with my vendor where I can order them. I don't have to make a complete watch order. Like, I don't have to make 500 watches just to get an extra 5 bezel inserts. We can order the bezel inserts.
Right.
So we can replenish that inventory as people buy them, and hopefully that'll kind of bring down the anxiety level. In the future, I think we'll start adding other parts. I don't think we'll ever sell movement styles or hands for a variety of reasons. But, you know, if somebody has a damaged case and it's too badly damaged to, like, just refinish it and make it look new again, they want to replace their case, I'll have cases for sale. So we're going to start building this out on the website. And it's just, I can't put cases up there right now because we don't have any. I actually do have to make more of the NTH subs as an example before I can put subs cases up there. But the next time I make NTH subs, we're going to order extra cases, and we'll just put them up on the website. And if you have a case that's damaged and you want to replace it, you don't need to prove to me what you're doing. You just go on the website and buy it. Same with bezel inserts. You can already buy bracelets, and we'll just sell the case as a kit. It'll come complete with the mid case, the bezel, the crystal already installed, the crown. All you'll need to do is have your watchmaker swap out the movement dial hands and the bezel insert. And if you need a bezel insert, we'll sell those. So we'll probably end up selling everything but the movement dial and hands.
Yeah, I think what we talked about the other day, and I know I've had clients ask me about, is like a client would say, hey, the bezel from this watch would look awesome on this watch. And,
that too.
And I've always said it's not something that we or NTH does at the moment. So it'll give those guys the opportunity to do that as well. Or, a world that I'm not really involved in is these guys who mod everything. I mean, that's
why they're asking. They want to do this bezel with that dial.
Yeah, and I think that's very cool. Like, I mean, even if somebody did get the case, the bezel, everything but the hand styles and movements, they can pretty much kind of do their own custom NTH,
Right. So that's the next iteration of this. So there are a lot of those modder guys, and I've always tried to discourage these guys from modding watches. One of the big reasons is the guys that are used to modding, a lot of them will buy a Seiko. They'll pop the bezel off basically by just prying it off the case. If you do that with one of our watches, there's a really good possibility that you'll warp that bezel ring. You'll warp this part up here that won't go back on this part down here.
Yeah.
And if you do that and it doesn't go back on, you basically ruined your watch. And up until now, we've never sold cases. So you would just basically destroy a $700 watch if you did that bezel insert swap the wrong way. There's an easier way to do it. And we're going to include, when you go to the website, we've already built this out. If you go to the website, when we have the bezel inserts for sale, on the product page where you buy the insert, it'll have the instructions on how you change out the insert for your NTH sub, so you can avoid ruining your watch.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. You don't have to be a watchmaker to figure it out, but we have very simple, easy to follow instructions.
I think it's a great idea.
Right. So that'll allow guys that, like the same guys that ask you, they ask me, like, are you ever going to do this blue dial with that black bezel and these gold? I'm like, no, because whatever I assemble, I got to make like 25 or 50 of them. And you're one guy that wants this dial with this, bezel and this handset. I'll never sell enough of them.
Right.
Sell the parts. I'm not going to sell the dials. I'm not going to sell the handsets. They're too fragile. They don't ship well. They're not worth enough money to get involved. But bezel inserts, cases, things like that, bracelets, sure, no problem. The next iteration of this, the next time we do production of the NTH subs, like I said, I'm going to order extra cases. I'm already getting extra bezels. We've already got bracelets. We got the standard oyster and the beads of rice. I think what we're going to start doing is we'll open up, for lack of a better term, I think the NTH custom shop. So we'll have a stockpile of different parts, including dials and hands. We'll get extras of those. We're not going to sell them, but we're going to build out something on the website, if I can figure it out, where you can go online on our website and just go, okay, I want to build my custom NTH. I know that I'm going to get the standard NTH subs case, but I want to pick my own dial, handset, and bezel and bracelet. And the product page will allow you to do that. It'll just build it all into the price. Some other brands already do this, like H2O,
right,
over Clemens Helberg. He has this on his site. It's pretty slick. So we'll give people the ability to do a certain number of customizations, and Dan will put it all together, and we'll charge a little extra for it, just because I got to pay Dan to do it. It's not like having it done over in Hong Kong and having them all shipped here ready made. It's going to cost a little extra to do it, but if somebody wants us to do, I want this dial, this bezel, this handset, yeah, in the future, the next time we do NTH subs, that's on my agenda to make that a reality.
I think that's an amazing idea. Please, guys, please, because I know it's going to happen. This isn't going to be for quite a while. So with the we're going to get messages and emails like, in a week, hey, is that ready yet? Which is cool. I get it, guys. I just want everybody to understand very clearly. We're probably talking, I would think, maybe a year down the road. Half a year, 3/4, whatever.
It's really hard to say right now. So let's talk about the future, production plans for NTH right now.
Yeah.
So, 300 NTH subs that we just got, I don't have any more NTH subs in production. That is the last 300 NTH subs the world will ever see unless and until we make more. And I think we will make more, but I'm not sure when. There's this little thing called coronavirus. You may have heard of it. It's kind of throwing a wrench into a lot of people's business plans right now. Right now, I've got 300 of the Devil Ray coming. And I actually told my factory, like, just assemble 150 to start, like that. We're being extremely conservative with our plans right now. And this isn't just because of coronavirus. I mean, we started to see an industry-wide slowdown last year with movement costs going up, labor costs going up, shipping costs going up. My shipping costs went up by a third last year. The trade war, this thing between, the United States and China, it could go a lot of different ways. So we're being very conservative. I've got the 300 watches we just got. And at last count, I think there was between those 300 and, whatever we had left over from last year, there are maybe 400, maybe 450 NTH subs available worldwide. That's it.
And I think it's probably a bit less than that at this point because that's what
between 400 and 450. It's around 400 maybe. Yeah. But that's, I think we're still seeing like 100 units a month being sold. So that's enough to get us through the next few months. And then I got to make more. And I don't know when we're going to do that because I got the Devil Ray in production. And for more than a year now, we've been working on an enlarged version, a larger version of the NTH subs that I just, for lack of a better word, been calling the LXL. But I really want to get that into production. And there's a lot of people that have been asking me about it, and they won't stop. That's kind of the next thing on my agenda. So, it's 4 months for production. We started the Devil Ray about, 3-4 weeks ago. So we're probably still 3 months away from getting the Devil Ray in. I'm hoping for a midsummer release. I really want to get the XL sub design finalized, get that into production so we can have that for fall. That may be all that we make this year. Yeah. I may not be able to make more of the 40 millimeter NTH subs that everybody seems to love until next year. So, again, we're not trying to sound too salesy here. These are just, this is just what's happening. This is just true. We don't have any more NTH subs in production right now. I may not be able to make more this year. I may not be able to make more until next year. So this whole custom, make your own NTH sub idea, like you said, that may not be a reality until next year. Maybe if things get a lot better, a lot sooner than we expect, we can squeeze it in for this year. I'm also trying to get more of the NTH Tropics, which is the Antilles and the Azores, back into production. There's still guys out there that ask us to make more of them. We've got 4 new dial designs, which I think are just mind-blowing. I got to figure out how to get them into production. And right now, look, business is not nearly as good now as it was a year ago at this time. I think we're okay, but I can't just jam a bunch of things into production. I need money to pay for it. And, we have to see sales happening. And even if I had the money to pay for it, what good does it do? Did you hear that?
I did hear that. Iron Man just landed on your roof.
What good does it do to have all these watches available if people can't buy them? So we're trying to be very careful about how we proceed. We're being very conservative at this point.
Well, I think
it's a 4-month lead time for production. So I'm trying to see 4 months into the future all the time. It's not easy to do, especially in times like these.
Especially when things are changing daily. I think it's very important, for the survival of small businesses, right? You do what you can financially. Hopefully they sell and so on and so forth. And that wheel continues to turn. You build your worth and your value. But I think what also a lot of people, I get guys all the time. Hey, I've been waiting for this watch. I'm looking for this NTH. You sold out of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear this?
I didn't hear it just now. Now I hear it. What are they doing up there?
I think my wife is doing like spring cleaning. She's upstairs, literally directly above me. Okay. She knows I have this call, but I don't think she cares right now because it's like she kind of.
It's all right. Harrison's in his office, and you know how loud he is. Oh, as you were talking, I'm texting him going, "Can you please shut up? I'm on a call." But you know what? That's part of the realness of what we're doing here, right? So
I want to mute my phone right now. Just yell through the ceiling like, "Hey, keep it down! I'm on a phone call down here."
Right. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. This is what happens after 2 weeks being stuck in the house together.
And the people that are watching this, it's likely they're at home with their kids or kids screaming, dog barking, wife telling them to. So we're all in the same boat, guys. This is good. This is gold. I like this.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, like, I was just telling you before the call started, before I started hitting record, is that, I had my last NTH vintage white, Nacken vintage white.
Yeah.
It's been my last one for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I literally sold it.
This is the same conversation we had 2 months ago.
I sold it on.
Always how it goes.
I sold it on Tuesday. I shipped it out Tuesday.
Instantly.
Since Tuesday, I've gotten 4 emails. Hey, when are you bringing the NTH vintage Nacken vintage white back? But what I was getting at is, I think when a lot of guys say, well, you're not making enough, or you're always sold out of this or that or the other thing. One thing to me that's very important is that, in my opinion, it keeps the demand high and the value high. Tell her I said hello.
Yeah, you keep talking.
Yeah, it keeps the value of the brand high. And,
hey, can you stop whatever you're doing up there? I'm on a video call with John down here.
Put her on speaker and have her say hi to everybody.
All right, hold on. You wait. Sorry, she just hung up.
Okay.
I'm going to pay for that later.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I don't even want to guess. So in any case,
it's not going to be fun at dinner tonight.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I think, look, I think the way things are going about, I think being cautious is smart. I also like the fact that it does keep the demand high. People want something they can't get, and that kind of, this whole situation.
Missing out.
Yeah, and look, we haven't seen the Devil Rays. And when was the last time we got Devil Rays in?
2 years.
Right. There are people out there who want a Devil Ray. When we release them, they're going to, you're going to release 150, maybe 300. And
we're making 300 total, but I'm only assembling 150 to start, because
right. So
why have 300 available if we don't have 300 people to buy them?
Right. But also, like, let's say, for instance, those 300 to sell, we don't know if we're going to make them again for another year or two. So the point being is, I like the model that you and I have been working on for the last 2 years. It works for the brand. It works for me. It keeps me engaged with the clients. And then when all of a sudden we're getting in 60 new NTH subs, there's a high demand for them. That's good for us, good for you. And the guys who buy them, it's good for them. You and I always talk about the resale value, right? Like, we go online, if there's a watch there for, anything under list price, we're buying it ourselves.
Yeah. Well, that's when I didn't want to tell guys when I was buying their watches on eBay or on the forums. They're like, "Why are you buying your own watches?" I'm like, I never got one for my own collection, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm like, you're selling one of my watches dirt cheap, and it's in great condition. It's a good deal. I'm going to snap it up. I'm going to put it in that nearly new section.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I bought a watch back from a client, 2 weeks ago, and I shipped it over.
I got my Barracuda Vintage Black. They were so hot, I couldn't get one for like the first 2 or 3 releases. A buddy of mine was selling one for 500. When everybody else was like, they were sold out and they were selling for like 600. He was selling it for 5, mint condition, done. I had the money to him by PayPal before I even asked. I didn't even ask him, like, is it still for sale? I just sent him the money and said, send it to me.
Yep, 100%. So, I mean, look, it's fun stuff. It's good stuff. Like you said, you were hit on it earlier. In these crazy times when guys are getting watches, they're putting them up on Instagram, they're putting them up on Facebook. It's you and I know that we're contributing to their break from all this craziness in life, and that is so gratifying. It's just like giving a gift to somebody. You give a gift to your kid and you see the joy in them, and that makes you feel better for what it's worth. And but listen, let's kind of wrap this up. I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with our shared clients,
sure,
and fans.
Thanks for having me.
The big takeaway here is to you guys watching this, we really appreciate you. We thank you for everything. For those of you who are having more of a difficult time, maybe this video was a little bit of a break from having to think about that garbage, and we're with you in thought and with spirit, and hopefully this thing comes and goes faster than we can know about, and God willing, things get back to normal for everyone.
Yeah, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, man. So, Hey, I appreciate you. And thanks for getting on here. And I'm sure I'll talk to you probably within the next few hours about something completely different.
Yep.
All
All
right,
right, my friend. Good seeing you.
You too. I'll talk to you soon, Chris.
See ya.